Aye, Shepherd's Pie, greetings from the Philippines and welcome back to the channel. Now, if you haven't seen the previous video, this is going to make a lot of sense to you. So I will put a link to the first video down below, and I'll also put a link to the Facebook page if you want to see my hanging off here. Right, so let's carry on. But before I do carry on with part two, just want to say I've been really touched by some of the messages that I got in the old comments. Really supportive and very helpful. Appreciate that. I've got a good bunch of subscribers, and I'm very grateful. One comment did make me laugh though, because I didn't mention it in the last video. Someone said, I wonder what he was doing the year before he met me. Well, apparently what he told me, and silly old me, I kind of believed it for the first couple of weeks, but I realised it was bullshit. But, you know, I wasn't going to say anything. You know, you meet a lot of bullshitters in your travels. Doesn't mean they're not, you know, fun to be with, but he wasn't fun to be with. That's the funny thing. But anyway, apparently he was writing Manny Pacquiao's autobiography. He was, no, autobiography, because supposedly he was going over to Oslo a couple of times a week, and he was meeting Manny Pacquiao, and they were writing the books, and he was videoing it and all. Obviously utter bullshit. You know, I said to him a couple of times, and he was telling me about his trips, because he kept coming out with ridiculous statements that Pacquiao was fighting Mayweather and no one knew about it. And things, and I know with boxing, I like with boxing, and he reckoned they were going to fight for the titles because they're both champions. It was just nonsensical. But I said to him, like, you know, you got any pictures of you with Manny? Didn't have anything. It's all bullshit. Anyway, I'm just answering that question in the comments. And there's a few comments saying, why didn't I go to the police? I should have done this. Well, I did. But I'm going to explain that now in part three. Part two, sorry. Yeah, so basically, we left the story. I'd been to the hospital, I had my ear stitched on. I was pissed off. I was pissed off for a number of reasons. And surprisingly, he was the least of them. What I couldn't get my head round was how he had managed to convince so many Filipinos who I thought were my friends that I was the bad guy, and how they'd turned on me so quickly. I mean, even the guy who took me to the hospital I'd known for like 7 months. He's only met him a couple of times. He's like saying to me on the way back, I says, what should I do now? Do I go to the police? Or he's, well, just avoid him. I don't want to get involved. You're both my friends. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, you know. I don't, you know, whatever. And I was a bit disappointed for a couple of days. A lot of people said I should move away, but I'm not running away from that arsehole. Trouble was, I had it was the bank holiday. It was the Holy Weekend, so there were mixed, there were reduced ferry crossings and all the rest of it. And I got to get my affairs in order. I'm not just going to jump. I'm certainly not going to move into a hotel and pay extra bills and that just to get away from him. I mean, as I say to you, I was trying to avoid trouble, but I was supremely confident if there was trouble that I was capable of dealing with it. And as I say, he disappeared for a few days, or I don't know where he was, what he was doing, but his bike wasn't there, and that. He was the least of my worries at that point. I learned a lot from this experience, and this was the thing that got me, and this is why I'm going to say, when you have a channel like this, I have always said I'll be honest. And when I get things right, I'll brag about them. But when I get things wrong, I'll admit it. And this whole escapade, this whole scenario, this whole stalking business and all the rest of it, as I said in the previous video, I'm happy it happened, because it made me realise that I'd made so many mistakes. And again, I'm not talking about him, talking about the fact that I've always taken the attitude that I don't like associating with expats, and I want to associate with locals and integrate and mix and embrace a society. And I thought I'd done that in Secure. The trouble was, as people who know who watch the channel, you'll realise that I was getting bored, I was getting homesick for Thailand. And the only thing that was really keeping me in Secure was the fact that I had so many friends, or thought I did. And I'm thinking, I don't want to give up on the Philippines yet. You know, I wanna make a go of it. And if I do go and start somewhere again, I'm gonna have to build a network of friends, etc., etc., etc. But I wasn't happy there. And loads of people picked on that when I did the videos about Thailand, and you know, I alluded to it when I was, the beach bums and that a few times. So the way I look at this, it gave me the impotence to leave. You know, the fact that he highlighted to me that none of these people who I thought were my friends, well, that just opened the key for me to leave. You know, and that's the way I look at it. Now, a lot of people in the comments have been berating expats. And I understand that. As I say, I've never been an expat guy. But what amazed me about this whole incident was the second the incident happened, all the Filipinos I knew, bar a couple, and I'm very grateful to those people, they all ran for the hills. They were either completely on his side and were just blanking me. I know they're guilty about it because I go behind the bike and people would usually go like that. They were just looking down and walking away. Or they were like, oh, we don't know how to get involved. Like a couple of my friends like messaged me and said, we hope you're okay and blah, blah, blah. It's so difficult. You're both our friends. You know, absolute nonsense. So I really don't know. This is the mystery. I don't know what he did to win them over. I imagine it was lots of buying drinks and, well, I know it was because I saw him. You know, he's just basically buy a friend, buy a friend, buy a friend, buy a friend. But like I say, I'm genuinely grateful that he did, because he showed me what those people were like. And I don't mean all Filipinos. Obviously I don't. I say some people, I've still got friends over there. I've got a great girlfriend over here in Dumaguete, or in Negros. You know, it's like, I've got nothing against Filipinos. But it made me realise how stupid I'd been in Sigil. And it made me realise, I always get quite defensive in the comments, and there'd been a lot of interviews I've done for other channels. And when I say I like to party and I like to go out, they say, oh, you're an alcoholic and all this. And when I say I like to go out to Filipinos, they say, well, they're just there for the drinks, wake up, you're being stupid, don't you realise? And I didn't. I didn't realise. I fell for it. And that's the way I look at this whole situation now. I look at it along the lines of, thank God I found out now. I could have stayed there another 6 months, making a fool of myself, buying drinks, being life and soul of the party, taking people out. They were probably laughing behind my back. I mean, I don't know what he told them, but whatever he did, the fact that they fell for it. I mean, I know this bullshit about being in the special forces and all that. I know some of them fell for that, because some of them, I know because a couple of them were telling other people I knew. That's how I heard it secondhand. So anyway, as far as I'm concerned, sod a lot of them. I will lose no sleep over it. I mean, when I leave places, it's like, I've never been back to anywhere I've left. And I've still got lots of good friends in Thailand. I move on. I go to other places. To me, the grass is always greener. There's a new adventure. So anyway, I'll get back to the story now. So a couple of days went by and I just wanted to get off the island. I wanted nothing to do with it. But I was touched by how many expats who I'd never met before reached out to me, offering help. They knew the chief of police and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And a few places I went to, a few restaurants, because I stayed away. I was done with those bars, but I was done with them. Not because of him, just I didn't want to see the people I thought were my friends weren't my friends anymore. So I decided, the next day, I'm leaving Sigil. But I'm leaving in my own time. I'm not running away from the island. I'll get my affairs in order and I'll go when it's good for me. So I just associated with my real friends. I spent a lot of time with Ray, drinking in some eating in other restaurants, bars and things like that. I kept getting approached by people. Kept saying to me, you can't let this go. You've got to report it to the police. You've got to do this. You could attack someone else. All the things that people are saying in the comments. So eventually I thought, I'll do it. And a couple of friends who were really pressing me to do it, like saying, we'll get this done, we'll get him kicked off the island and all this kind of stuff. And I was saying to them, look, I don't care if he's kicked off the island, I'm going. And they're like, well, don't go because of him. I said, I'm not going because of him. I've not been happy for the last couple of months. And anyone knows on the videos, you see I've been alluding to that fact. So I was taking this as a positive thing. You know, it is highlighted to me that there's nothing for me in Sigil. Onwards and upwards to the next adventure. But anyway, it got to me, these people saying that, you know, you've got to do it, you could attack someone else or whatever, the guy's mentally ill. And he is. And all the expat knew that, they could see that, you know. So eventually I said, yeah, well, fine, I'll do the civic thing, I'll go to the police. Trouble was, it was the Holy Weekend, because he attacked me on the 26th, that was the night of the incident, which was Monday. It was Tuesday morning, early hours of Tuesday morning. I went to the hospital on Wednesday. Thursday, and it was Good Friday. Most of the place was shut, and all the advice we got was to wait until Tuesday to go to the police. So anyway, I went to the police, bought a stick, made a statement, put it in the blotter. They weren't interested. I mean, they sat there going, this is terrible, we could have done this, who could have done that? And I'm like, well, what happens next then? They're like, nothing. You know, if you want to, you can go and get an attorney. So I'm like, well, all right, fine. I'm done here. You know, and that's it. And a very good Filipino friend took me to the police. She knew him and that. She's been very supportive. She still messages me. If you ever message me now, tell me what that idiot's doing and all this. And I'm like, I don't care. I've moved on. Remember, this was 3 weeks ago. I'm not in Sikyo anymore. I left the following week. I can't remember what day I left. I think it was the Tuesday. No, I think it was the Wednesday. Anyway, yeah, it would be the Wednesday. So about a week after the incident. So anyway, I left. I got a guy to move in, take me rental over. Made him well aware of, well, he knew the situation. He was one of the guys I'd been drinking with in the bar. So it's not like I got him to move in next to someone without him knowing the facts. And he took over the apartment. So because I was so amazed how supportive the expats had been, and a lot of these people I didn't know or I had met a couple of times, but they're messaging me, oh, you're right, what can we do for you? They really banded round me. And that was touching. That was touching. And as I say, all the Filipinos, bar a couple that I thought were my friends, they run to the hills. Like I say, a couple of the girls in the bar saw what happened to me in terms of him coming in before I did, but they were told by the owners to keep their mouth shut. Didn't see anything. I mean, that's what you're dealing with. And these are people I know. These are videos up. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not going to say what I've done for that bar in terms of videos and things. Not going to mention any of it. You know, I'm done with him. There's no point, you know, bearing grudges. It's just, it is what it is. But the reality is I had to get away from Sigil because I was just, I just felt so disappointed with everything that had happened. So anyway, I left and I came back to Dumaguete. Booked in a hotel, the Kingswick Hotel, for a week, and had a very good time. Although I'd lived in Sibilan before in Dumaguete, I'd never been up towards Valencia way. So I went up there and I stayed in the hotel while I found somewhere to live. And in the week I've been, a week and a half I've been here, I've made some damn good friends. Expats, but good expats. Business owners and managers around here. Surprised how friendly the people are. I've even started playing darts again. I haven't played darts for years. They've got a darts league and that over here. And I've been able to see my girlfriend a lot more, which has made me happy, because that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to stay in Sikyo as well. It's like, you know, with her over here. And it was all positive, all positive. But then I got a message, what day was it? It would have been last Monday. Yeah, it would have been Monday. From a couple of good expat friends over in Sikyo, saying that they knew the chief of the police and the prosecutor over there. And that, again, I'm not going to name people because I don't want, you know, cause them any problems over there. But basically they wanted to speak to me and they wanted me to come back and see them and tell her about the case because they weren't happy about, you know, the way the police had worked, etc, etc, etc. And I was like, I'll be honest with you, I don't want to do it. I'm not interested anymore. I've moved on. But then of course you start thinking, well, wait a minute, these friends of mine have been pushing this and pressing it, they don't want to let it go, and they've set up this meeting and, you know, all the rest of it. But it's such a pain to go back there when you're trying to move on. But in the end I said, oh, I'll do it, you know, thanks for what you've done. And they set me up a meeting about 9:30 in the morning on the Thursday, which would have been very difficult to get back for. I'd have had to get one of the very early morning ferries. And if I'd missed that because it was full, I wouldn't be able to make the meeting. So I decided to go back the night before. So I went over with my girlfriend. We had a night in a hotel, and then nice meal out and that. And then we went to see this senior prosecutor the next day. The meeting wasn't quite led to what I believed it would be in terms of I just to go over and speak to them, and they kind of knew about it. Basically, the situation was this. They were prepared to, if I wanted to make a complaint, they were prepared to open an investigation. They wanted a medical report of my injuries and etc., etc. And they would be prepared to open a case, which they would then investigate. But I would have to go back again then to speak to another investigator. And the guy we were talking to, again I won't name him, he was a senior prosecutor. He said he wanted to stay impartial, so he didn't want to know all the facts and that. But when he realised that I was hesitant about, you know, carrying this on, because he explained the procedure, and it was going to take a long time, and it was going to be a lot of meetings and things. He said, tell me a few more of the facts. And he basically said, because I had a witness, because Robert he'd come with me, Robert, and that I had a very good case, and that they would take it up. They had to do the preliminary investigation, look at the police report, but they were prepared to take up the case. But he was emphasising how much hard work it would be, because the reality is, you could tell, he didn't want to do it. If I was going to push it, they were going to do it, because of pressure that had been put on them. But he kept pushing how hard it was going to be. Basically, I would have to go back. I would have to see them again, then they would write to him, he would have 10 days to reply, then there would probably be a court case which I would have to come to and give evidence, and, you know, not for me. Remember, as I tell you now, my plans are now to do what I was always going to do. I'm going to do some vlogging. I'm going to travel around, I'm going to hit the road. As far as I'm concerned, I wasted 7 months in Sikil. I've got I've got a few months to make up for it seeing the rest of the Philippines. So that's what I intend to do. So I said, well, I'll leave it then. To which they said, well, that's up to you, but if you do push it, he will be deported. And like I said before, I'm actually grateful to that lunatic, because he woke me up to the mistakes I'd made. As I say, I could have spent another 6 months on that island. Just buying drinks and, you know, just wasting my money looking after people that weren't really my friends. You know, so it's, now in terms of my civic responsibility and all that, I made a complaint. It went in the blotter. They've got their record. If he does it to someone else, hopefully they'll nick him and kick him off the island. To be honest with you, I really don't care what happens to him now. You know, he's a very sad, insignificant man. That's the reality of it. If he wasn't, he wouldn't have to make up this fancy life. And he's also mentally ill. So as far as I'm concerned, he can have his little circle of friends. Although one guy, I tell you, I won't name him, but you know him, he's a friend of the channel. He was saying to me, like, because I had a few beers in the night I left, he said, I'm angry at you about this. And I said, well, what do you mean? I didn't. He said, because you brought him over here and you introduced him to us. And the second we met him, we were thinking, like, this bloke's got nothing. He's got no personality. He's got, you know, he's so bloody boring. But he's there because he's with you, and we've all got to put up with him. And I'm thinking, why is he out with us? And I'm like, yeah, well, I'm sorry, I didn't view it that way. I was just doing, you know, I was being nice. But he said then, he said, like, you know, what's his next move? In the sense that before you come along, he was doing nothing. And now he's invested all this time and effort into becoming you and kind of taking over your life. When you go, what's left for him then? Does he carry on trying to be you? As he said, because he can't. And I'm not saying that is what the guy was saying, because he's got no personality, he's got nothing. You know, or does he latch on to someone else, or does he go back to being a recluse? And like I said, well, I don't know. To be honest, I hope he carries on, you know, trying to live my lifestyle, because I've realised my lifestyle was a mistake. You know, but he's not happy. He's not happy. I mean, those last few weeks, the last week or bit when I was there, several times I came back, like I've been out for dinner up on my bike, and all you can hear is him in his room, screaming, motherfuckers, motherfucker, quacking fuck. God knows who he's talking to. It sounds like he's on the phone. You think he's talking to someone. But then the next thing he was like, he's crying and crying and crying. A couple of times I've sat out there with vape listening to him thinking, you bloody lunatic. But he's ill. But to be honest with you, it's hard to feel sorry for someone when they've gone out to get you. So I don't wish him ill, I don't care about him, but I must admit, hearing him like that did bring a wry smile on my face. I'm not a perfect person, I'll tell you what it is. But yeah, so I did my bit, I reported it, he's in the blotter, you know. I can potentially open a case at any time. They've got my statements, I've given them the medical report and that. A friend of mine's keeping the old weapon safe, bagged and tagged as evidence. But my intentions at this stage are just to leave it. I mean, you know, obviously if he turns up here or whatever, then we've got a problem. And then I will defend myself first. I'm not playing games with that fucker anymore. You know, he'll get it if he comes near me. And if he does it to someone else, there's a blotter in the old police thing over there. So they got it. But it's very disappointing what the police were like. They were no good at all. I mean, a lot of people know I used to be in the police and the RF police. Something like that. Someone comes in and reports that, you'll lift them straight away. You know, none of this you've got to get an attorney or you've got to get an investigator in or whatever. I don't know how the law works in the Philippines, but it can't work like that. You know, they've got to open the case or do this or whatever. I mean, we would class that in the UK as grievous bodily harm. The man's dangerous, you've got to get him in. Because he is dangerous. You know, this idea that you investigate, you know, for like a few weeks now, decide whether he's dangerous or not when someone's already, I mean, you've got to get him in, you've got to interview him under caution, and you've got to find out, you know, what the situation is, and you've got to take statements from everyone who was a witness, a material witness. But so none of that happened, you know. I mean, yeah, so there we are. I honestly just want to move on. I don't want to waste my time thinking about that loser. He's done me a favour. He has. I've learnt 2 lessons here. 3 lessons. Don't befriend nutcases. And be careful who you trust. I'm not doing that anymore. I am not. I came over here all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, thought City was the friendliest place in the world. These people are amazing, etc., etc. No. They're after the money and the drinks. A lot of them are. Not all of them, but a lot of them are. And I fell for it. Interesting, because I got a couple of friends over there, expat friends, who I'm not going to mention, but we had a chat one night, and they'd both come to the conclusions that they were in similar stages of cons, that the old some of the old locals were onto them in different ways. Mine, they'd noticed my weakness was buying people drinks and tipping and all that kind of stuff, so they'd cotton onto that. My other 2 friends, I'm not going to say too much, but they were being hit in a different way in terms of lending money, the old honey pot trap and all that. So it's a funny old place over there. You got to give it to it. It's one of the old commenters, Levi Brown said, like, you know, the Filipinos are very good at spotting expats for what they are and you know, identifying them. And yeah, they're right. They're good at spotting your weaknesses and exploiting them. Some of them, obviously not all of them. You know, where I come from in London, you'll get some right dodgy sharks who will rob you blind, give you the opportunity. But the vast majority of people are good as gold. It's like it anywhere in the world. And that's a place where you get a lot of tourists, a lot of thingy, you know, it's a tourist place. What did I expect? I should have done better. Trouble is, like I say, I lived in Thailand, I was in Pattaya for a while. Not my place, I wasn't there that long, but you know, I respected the bar girls. You know, I knew what it was. You know, you go in there, you buy them ladies' drinks, they're friendly as anything. You know, you expect that because, and you know it when you go in there to have a good time. I said many times, I've never been a sex tourist, but when I had an apartment in Jomtien, and I used to like going down to the bars and watching because of the atmosphere, and you had all these guys on holiday all so happy, and they're buying the ladies' drinks, the girls are loving it, and that. You know, you can have a great time, but you knew it wasn't real. You knew it was pretend. When I got to Sikil and you go in the bar and everyone's laughing and joking with you, and you're not buying them ladies' drinks, you're just saying, have a drink with me and have a drink. And they thought, wow, these people are amazing, they're so nice, they're so friendly. But sadly, a lot of them it's an act. Not all the places, and I'm not going to go down naming bars. I know they've got laws here when you say things, but there's quite a few bars in Sikil which are quite quiet, and you'll go in there and the staff will just be like, hello sir, can I get you a drink? They're the ones you should go to. They're the ones. They're the place I used to avoid until the last couple of weeks. But I started. If you go to San Juan, Sikil, check out the White Sands. Check out Shells, particularly on a Wednesday, Shells bar, and go to JJ's. They do an amazing Hungry Man's burger in the White Sands. Really nice burger. Nice people, nice owners. And there's a resort if you need somewhere to stay called Casa James. Again, the reason I mentioned this place is because the places I was going to mainly the last week, they were quite new places to me because the old owners reached out and they were very supportive. You know, I knew them not very well, but the second this happened, they're like, straight away, what can we do to help? You know, so, you know, I was amazed how many expats, and I'm a man who's always generally criticising expats on videos, but they were the ones who came around and supported me. They helped me. It's made me reevaluate my experience, my impressions of expats. But I say these are mainly business owners. You know, I know what you're saying in terms of a lot of people have left because of problems and they've got drink problems and they're all special forces and that, but they tend to be the barfly kind of people. I think you find most of the people who've got businesses and hotels and restaurants over here, expats, they're quite straight people. Certainly since I've been here in Valencia, Dumaguete, I met some great people, and hopefully I'll interview some of them over the next few days. I've asked a couple and they've said they're happy to do it, so that'd be great. And a couple of them very, very interesting people. So I think that's basically all there is to tell you. I'm no longer in Sikil. The Sikil adventure is over. I'm damn glad to be away from the place. I did my civic duty. Reported to the police, it's in the blotter, went back, had a sit down with the one of the prosecutors over there, could have pushed it to the court deportation case, you know, getting deported and that if I'd won the case, but as I say, it would have meant me being available and possibly not being able to leave the country for several months, even longer for the case. And as far as I'm concerned, like I say, I've wasted too long with those people over there, with that island. Just not prepared to do it, fellas. Not prepared to do it. If you attack someone else or something, I'd go back and give evidence for the court case, but I'm not going to keep going. You could tell it would be interviewing, you have to keep going back and you have to keep doing this. I mean, you kept saying they'll take the case and they'll do it and I don't have to have a lawyer, they'll act on my, but just didn't want to do it. Just want to put the whole thing behind me. So there we are. So this video is not as exciting as the last one. I'm back on Negros and onwards and upwards. Don't know what else I can tell you really. Otherwise, other than if you like the video, hit the like button. Great if you subscribed. Whatever doing, wherever you are, stay safe, be lucky, and thanks for all the lovely comments. Much appreciated. Take care.